Good evening, Shufflebus riders. What is up? It's your boy Jesse back here for another Solforge Fusion Wednesday night. Joining me this week is Neil, recovered from his recent illness and back in the saddle. So welcome back, Neil. Thanks for being with me tonight. It's always good to have you on the show. More than most in the chat saying what's up, SFF peeps. And then saying hello, Neil and Jesse. So we're not second SSF fiddle. Peeps. We're second fiddle to the SFF peeps, whoever they are. But so yeah, we're as our background image shows, SBI has been announced. Core waving hello. Got a peek at your guys' vid that dropped earlier today, Greg, but did not get a chance to watch it all the way through. In fact, I didn't even get to your first spoiler, let alone your big spoiler. So I'm very excited to see what you guys have in store for us. Can't wait to watch that video. What's up, Nathis? How's it going, man? Good to see you. World champion Sam Nathison in the house. We don't know if the other Sam's here. He can't claim his name, so...
Newt was chatting in the Stoneblade stream, so
okay.
I assume he'll be here.
Yeah. So so obviously we'll talk a little bit about that invitational tonight, kind of how it's going to work. Obviously we're still in the middle of a qualifier, so there's some people that'll get added to it from this qualifier. We really are trying to shoot for one more qualifier, but we are running out of time pretty quickly here for that. So we'll see if we can squeeze something in here around the end of the month or first part of November. Obviously, November 11th is the SBI, so that's ready to mark your calendars. Cardboard needs going, man, Nathis is here. F.
Yeah. Never going to get the name right.
But we're excited to talk about it. Obviously, a big shout to Stoneblade for making that a silver event. That's something we had requested, and they were able to oblige and comply with. So, yeah. So, I mean, obviously, you've got some cool things in store. Some things we can't talk about quite yet because we're still ironing out the details. But once those details are ironed out, know that I will be sending you all as much information as I can through our Discord, particularly around the prizes. So, we'll see what we can come up with there. Neil, what's new in your world, man? You've been gone for a couple of weeks, slacking off at home,
Yeah. Everybody at my sister's house got real sick. And apparently I caught it from them. I was bamboozled because I was told it was safe to come over, but
they lied to you.
Yeah. Well, like Heidi's 4, and Luke is 1.5, and so they both just like to, stick their hands in their own mouth and then in my mouth and just whatever.
Welcome to having toddlers, man.
Heidi's back at school, so it's just that time of year.
100%. For sure. So I don't know if you saw, but the SolforgeFusion.com site got a pretty nice upgrade. It's doing a much better job on the latest news of like having more to see. So they kind of gave it a visual upgrade, I believe.
I saw that. At least the like Stoneblade website.
Yeah.
And the news portion of the Solforge
which I think is great. It was much needed. It definitely makes the game look a lot more lively and vibrant when you see, a panel of news articles that all look pretty recent, and I think that's a good thing. So so anyways, we let's kind of, I guess, circle back on SBI. So real fast, we'll just kind of knock this out of the park now, and then we can move on from there to other things. But if you are a qualified SBI player, I apologize for the confusion, but I thought you could check in at any time. So I had instructed everybody to check in if you plan to attend. Turns out you can't do that until 24 hours before the event. So I want to just get a good handle on how many people are actually going to participate and how many rounds the tournament's going to be, so that we can kind of set the timelines appropriately, that sort of thing. The current roster is 19 players because Casey Kidd is a scrub and had to drop out because he can't participate that day. So I'm going to give him as much crap as I possibly can here, since
It
I
is
can't.
sad that Ryan's not going to be able to play.
Yeah, no, I am sad that Ryan's not going to be part of it. But this is this is a list, bro. Like, there are some dudes on this list. The only thing that's not in your registration that I'm going to ask everybody to put in their registration, and I'll make some more notes of this, and we'll talk about some more as we get closer, is your Discord names. This tournament, since I added you all, it's added by your email, and that doesn't carry over your quote unquote team name / Discord name. So if you can add your team name, Discord name in, that'd be great. You don't have to fuse a deck yet, just an FYI if you don't want to, but fuse deck editing is available. So if you want to earmark one and then go back and change it later, you can definitely do that. Main thing is just, if you're not planning to attend, if you can drop from the event, that would be fantastic, just so we get an accurate player head count and know how to structure the tournament rounds. Hopefully we'll get another 8 players here. We should get another 8 players invited that are not already invited. It just depends on how many people are in this existing tournament that are already qualified. But in theory, we should see another 8 players added to this list and push that number up. Probably, I'm really hoping that we get around 22 to 24 players to participate. That's what I'm really hoping for. Might get a little bit more if we can do one more qualifier. So, format of the tournament is going to be a silver event. So if you have silver decks, I think you can get your buys. I'm not exactly sure how that system works. I need to talk with Alex about that and see how that whole thing plays out. I don't know if it's automated or if there's things I have to do from my side for that. And then More Than Most is saying he has something after 5 hours after the tournament starts, so that's my only time crunch if I make it to the finals. Yeah, obviously we will, as you know, we run single day qualifiers as efficiently as possible, so this will be no different than a single day qualifier in that respect, where we will move through the rounds once everybody is complete as fast as possible. So once time's called, things like that, we will continue to push to get rounds through. We may take a small break for Top Cut, but Mike Galgis is in here, and he's saying silver gets round 1, gold gets round 1, and round 2 by, I think. Yeah, I think that's potentially correct. You're right. But this should be, I'm really hoping, one of the pinnacle competitive events in the Solforge community as we evolve this tournament over the coming years. So this is our first one, and obviously we're going to learn from it and see how we can make it even better for Solforge as we move forward. There's I don't think really anything else on this side to talk about right now. Just a little bit of information. I think it's in the event details, but just for the sake of everybody's understanding, start time is 10 a.m. Central, and that's going to be post daylight savings time change. So I think that's a GMT -6, if I'm not mistaken, because we're currently GMT -5, and we fall back an hour here in the next couple of weeks. So that should be a GMT -6 time for anybody that's not.
That's a good call out.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things. Whenever we plan around the daylight savings time changes, it always screws with our timing on things. So just know that that's what we want to do. So More Than Most says it's not automated, but you may want to choose not to want to use buys. I had talked to Alex. We've learned a few things as we've learned a few things in the last bout of silver tournaments. Okay. I mean, I'll talk with Alex about it. I mean, by the rules, that's what the rules are for a silver event. So I'd want to maintain Solforge's organized play rules, but I'll certainly find out how to make sure we manage that.
We just need to make sure that the website or program automation that's doing it is doing it according to the rules, because that was the problem from last year.
Yeah, so we'll talk with Alex before the event and get that all sorted out so that there's no hiccups on the day of the event. So obviously, if I need information regarding whether you're bringing a silver or gold deck, I will reach out to Alex on that and see how maybe we can handle that on a more manual basis if I have to create manual users or whatever to do pairings for buys, whatever that may be. So Yeah. Other than that, I mean, I think we're very much excited to get this started and very much ready to see it play out. And I mean, this is for Neil and I. This is probably one of our favorite times of year is when SBI comes around because we're just so excited to watch some really high level
Right.
gameplay. And that's, I mean, it's I'd say the only thing that would be close to it is like our coverage of Worlds from Gen Con had a very similar SBI feel. So I'm very excited to be part of that and be bringing this out here in the next month. So yeah. So nothing else on the SBI side. Let's talk really fast about upcoming events, Neil, because there are a few, and I think they probably deserve a little bit of attention. So I'm going to do online only, and I'm going to leave everything else blank. So the first one that's kind of a big one is coming up here in 4 days. That's the Last Winter Group Sealed. This is the first chance to play Sealed Set 3. This is going to be, I believe, on Tabletop Simulator. I don't think they're putting it into the app. Oh, it is the last. Maybe this is the digital app. I don't know.
I think it is. I'm not positive.
Yeah, so
I
I'll be
didn't
very
get to
curious.
watch the whole stream
I don't
tonight,
know how
so I
this
don't know what
actually works
they're
for sure. I
announcing.
mean, if somebody has some information in chat, please fill it in. But this is
If anybody knows, Eli knows.
yeah, that's what I'm hoping for since he's here. But
Unless Fletch is here, then he'll tell
uh,
us.
Cardboard Newt adding World's coverage was fun. Thank you, Newt. Appreciate you, man.
God, that was so great.
Someday I will call you Sam, I promise. But today is not that day. And then. Yeah, I mean, I think this is really exciting. Carl Testa
Okay.
says it's on TTS, so they must have it coded, set 3 coded for TTS, which makes sense. Fletch is adding, it's pretty sure it's TTS, so we're getting multiple TTS, and that's one person from Stoneblade saying pretty sure. So it's as good as we're going to get here. But yeah, if you haven't signed up for this event and you care about Solforge and competitive Solforge at all, or playing in Solforge tournaments, to me, this is like the perfect opportunity. And I'm sitting here saying this as I haven't signed up yet because I'm trying to see if I can finagle my schedule since it's scheduled for 7 p.m. BST, which is like, I think it's
It's like
1 in the
1 in the
afternoon.
afternoon your time.
Yeah. So it's right in the middle of a Sunday, which is kind of difficult because of the kids and everything for me to be able to just like plop down and play 4 hours of Soulforge. Like, hi honey, I'm gonna go play games for 4 hours. Good luck. enjoy your Sunday. But mostly we were just trying to figure out if the Last Winter Group Sealed was done on the app, if people were going to gain early access to the app for that, or if it was going to be done on Tabletop Simulator. We don't really know, and so we were asking the question. So that was the main thing. I was just trying to get that sorted out. Nick says he's going to be playing in it to get crushed by all these better players by my own designs. There are currently 33 registered, which is incredible. Obviously much
hopefully
larger
we get
than
some more.
Much larger than a 3-round tournament they're planning. So obviously it's just for fun and a chance to.
Yeah, it's not a like tournament, right? It's
Right.
like a set preview, like a pre-release kind of thing.
Right. And I really want to
So-
participate in this. Like, I'm really wanting to click the register button right now. I really am. So I'm trying to get it worked out. I may be a last minute ad here, but looks like there's still plenty of room because
I will either register or just like stream games that I watch.
Yeah, the other thing that was the other thing we might be able to do is if just turn the stream on and let Neil or somebody kind of take after on that, because if I can't make it, that might be a good way to get some previews out and some gameplay out of Set 3 early gameplay.
Yeah, gotta talk to Lucas and see if that's okay, but I assume that
I'm
they want to
assuming
get eyes on it.
I'm assuming so as well. We did ask about the embargo, I think, a few weeks back, if these things were going to be embargoed, and I'm not sure if we got an actual answer on that yet. So we'll find out. But long story short, I'm excited to do that. And Neil, did I tell you that I opened another stabilizing, suppressing Sonic Burst deck?
Yeah, you did. I
Okay.
mean, it's probably fine.
Yeah,
If the
I
other
don't know.
cards are good, it's probably good.
Yeah, I don't know what the other cards do yet. I haven't paid that much attention to it, but I couldn't remember if I talked about that with you on stream or if that was
Not on
Um,
stream. I think you
okay.
just like slacked me about it the other
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. So that was the big hit. I bought a bunch of discounted product from Hobbytown because they were blowing out their set one stuff, and I was like, cool, like let's just open it up, and so that's what I did. But okay, so that's one event coming up. We've got some more to talk about.
Unfortunately, I have to follow that.
Right.
I,
Yeah.
this has to be like the pre-release thing has to be like the most hype event that is since Gen Con, right? Like
It's
Stoneblade
gotta.
sponsored. It's
It's
got set 3 stuff.
it's
Like
gotta be, man. Like,
I don't
uh,
know. It won't be like super competitive, obviously, but the
well, I want to give a shout
um
out to Ankh because he is running a sealed event here. Um, I think he's sort of following our template, if I'm not mistaken, that we set out and did back in June with our sealed event, where we ship product out post event. So he's opening product. October 14th is the tournament start. He's closing registration on 10/11. So you got 7 days to get registered. This is an $18 event, but I do think like sealed set 2 is probably some of the best Solforge you can play. So if you like sealed, this is a real opportunity. The 14th is a Saturday, and again, it's a 12 p.m. start time. I'm assuming that's 12 p.m. Eastern time. So that's currently GMT minus. You're an hour ahead of me, so -4. So I don't think this is before that. So Gajas is adding that event was so fun. First time I ever played Fraud, Sigmund Fraud. Yeah, man, that's what happens in Sealed, right? It's Sealed Kickstarter. I'm sorry, I missed that. It is Sealed Kickstarter. Still cool. I mean, Kickstarter booster boxes tend to have a little bit higher price point on them. So
I like set 1 better than set 2.
do you?
I mean, maybe I'm the outlier, but the decks just like because they're a little bit more synergistic, I think they're a little more fun and
Right. Well, he's currently only got 4 players. We need to get that number up for him, so we can do this.
I'll
Chat.
probably sign up.
Yeah, we can do this. So I'm gonna see if I can make it work. My weekends are kind of crazy. I'm out of town the last 2 weekends of this month, so I can't buy up too much time here. So it just is how it works. But we're gonna see. I'm gonna see if I can fit it in. Convince my wife to let me fit it in. But we'll see what happens. Shambling Shamblers. Yeah, I mean, there was a triple Shambler in our pool, if you remember right. But you know, didn't come out on top. All right, so that's coming up. I really think y'all should participate in that. It's a cool idea. I'm not purposely missing. Like George is running these silver events to help level decks for Gamehole Con. What's not on here, which is kind of disturbing, is there's no Gamehole Con. I guess that's because this is online events only. Let me edit the search. Let's do any location.
There's that one and Con of the North like real close together, right? As in-person events.
Maybe. Why am I missing it?
It might have already happened. I don't even know.
Ultimate Championship Gamehole Con. Here it is. October 21st. Madison, Wisconsin. No current signups right now, but I'm sure that will change. There's 32 players being allowed in that UC, which is probably fine. Not a whole lot of other information on here right now about this. Con of the North is in winter, January, February, says Ryan Creesh. So who wants to come to the Minnesota in January, February? Y'all are nuts. Nuts.
Oh, okay. It's in January. Yeah, I don't want to go there.
So anyways.
That's too cold.
I know.
We need to have a Con of the South.
Con of the South.
Yeah.
You got Fifth Cycle doing their weekly events. They are switching to Wednesday nights, and there's a little bit of news around that we'll talk about too. We are planning to cover the first round of the Fifth Cycle theme night and their bronze events as we move forward. So I don't think they're doing one this week. I don't think there's one. No, there is one planned for tonight, October 4th. So if we get through everything tonight, we will cover round 1 tonight. Otherwise, expect that coverage to start up on the Fifth Cycle next week, and we'll coordinate that with Trey and get that all squared away. So excited to be providing some round one coverage, at least a game a week from their tournament as we move forward. So it'll be a good fit for our channel as long as we get through everything else in our show. So that should pretty much wrap up all the major news. I mean, I know they've announced the PAX event.
Like the Kickstarter is going to happen in like a week and a half, right?
Do we know that?
Or like a week?
Is it actually announced somewhere?
Let me look. I thought I. Oh, it still says notify me on launch.
Yeah, I don't think it's got a date yet. It's got to be coming soon. I mean, they said it was a couple of months away. You know, Nick, let me tell you something here. Like, I thought going to Philly for Philly cheesesteaks was what you want to do there. I was so very wrong. On the SBE stream, they announced late this month. Okay, cool. That's good to know, Eli. Thank you. You really, honestly, when you go to PAX, there is a marketplace across the street. What is that place called?
God, I don't remember.
But I mean, Philly cheesesteaks notwithstanding, there is some absolutely incredible food in that marketplace. I mean, like
it's like 2 city blocks.
It might be
like
4.
Maybe it is. It's huge, and it's just cram packed full of people, and just like
it's
delis and
it's like 2 to 4 city blocks of food trucks basically, and it is amazing.
Yeah, but they're not food trucks. They're like in there, right? They pay rent in the building, but it's
they're permanent stalls. But Terminal
food truck
Market,
type
thank you,
food.
Onk's got us. Onk's got us. He's here.
Yeah, it's so good.
Terminal, yeah, you got to go to Terminal Market.
And there's just everything in there you could ever want.
I don't think we were there last time we were at PAX. I don't think we ate outside of that place the whole weekend.
Not when we when we were eating in the convention because we needed to for convenience sake. Right. We didn't, but whenever we went out to eat, we just went there.
Yeah, I don't think we went anywhere else in downtown.
So it's like attached to the convention center.
Yeah. Well, we went to that bar one night, but we didn't eat any food there. So yeah, you got to try Terminal Market. You'll love it, man. I'm telling you, it's amazing. Okay, so no specific date on Kickstarter, but late this month is the current information on it. So we'll be watching that very closely. Oh, excuse me. But yeah, I mean, obviously PAX event coming up. That's going to be a storyline event. I think they're having another constructed tournament there, possibly.
Nathis asked us a little bit ago if we're going. At this point, it is unclear, but unlikely for me.
I would say I'm in a less than 50-50 shot to make it right now. It's difficult holiday season wise, and I love PAX though, man. It's like might be my favorite.
It is a great event, yeah.
So I would love to go, but I'm not sure. There's an Ultimate Championship Silver event there planned currently at PAX, and then a storyline event. So December 2nd and December 3rd are those two. But
is that early in the month? I thought it was like middle of December, but
no, it's early. It's the first weekend after Thanksgiving. It's always that first weekend after Thanksgiving. So, of course, Onk, we love you, man. We're always going to plug your crap. I got to do it, man. I got to do it. Come on. We got to have a little fun around here, right? Let's do it. Cardboard Newt says he would go if Nathis gives him his name back. I think you got to earn it. Newt. The only way to do that is to show up and beat him, and then you get your name back. So anyways, Neil, let's talk spoilers. We got a bunch.
Yeah, because I don't know if you did any last week. I just made graphics for all of them since the last time we did spoilers. I
messed around for an hour and then played a game. that was the night. I played a game with Rusty. Yes, crap. Onk's agreeing with me.
That's just mean spirited.
No, I don't mean it in a mean spirited way.
He's like the nicest guy that we've ever met, and you're just like,
I'm just giving him a hard time.
I just kickstarted that Nexus tracker so I could throw it in the trash. Like it's just
Not at all. Not at all. I'm very excited for my Nexus trackers.
oh here yeah, this is what we should definitely plug is Eli making a video about beating me on turn 3 or whatever on stream 2 weeks ago. Um which was honestly pretty cool, but like not I'm sure was like not very interesting to watch on the stream with us just pointing at stuff and like, oops, I lost.
Yeah, it was hard to know what was happening until it had happened, right? So
Right. It was
that's
hard to know what
the
was happening anyway. Uh like we obviously we if you want to know more about it, go watch
I think my
Eli's video.
takeaway from it honestly is um you know, is it good for the game? Is it consistent enough? I mean, I think those are all questions
Well,
I have right
it's
now.
actually more degenerate than um Mad Lab was
Yep.
because it involves stitchers, so like pieces that you're missing, you get to stitcher back. So like you have to have the stitchers and the God, what's that card called? Like when your scientist die, it makes it 3/3. Uh,
Um I don't remember
but
I mean, I know you're talking
yeah,
about, but
so right, but they're all creatures and they're all stitcherable. So like
right.
it's much more consistent than other combos because you just like as long as pieces are in your banish pile, you have access to them.
Right.
But
Yep.
watch Eli's video. I'm
Yep.
sure he covers
You
it
can
better
also
than.
go back 2 weeks ago on our live stream and watch the on demand of Neil playing Eli. I think the game was it fairly early in stream?
Uh, no, it was the wait. I don't know. We had two games on that night. I don't remember if I was first or second.
I don't remember. I think you guys were second. I think we played the digitized dust up match on that stream, and
One of
then
them was Dust Up,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So you guys can go watch that on demand on our channel. It's out there. You can see it work in action, even though you'll hear me fumble through the commentary, unsure of
Yeah.
what was happening. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's pretty wild. So all right, so we get a new Utera creature here as a dinosaur.
Which
I love
which one are we looking
dinosaurs.
at here?
Tremosaur. That's the one you first one you sent
Okay.
me. This Charge Plated's
Yeah, I
reveal.
didn't send him any particular order, so we can just go. That's fine. But I'll bring him up on my screen so I don't have to watch the
So
stream with delay.
so you got a cycle 1 as an O8 creature, cycle 2 it's an O12, and a cycle 3 it's an O18. This creature does have breakthrough, which is interesting. And then when you are dealt damage by an enemy creature, give this that much attack. Um, all I can say
This card's
is this
dope.
is cool. Yeah, I think this is really cool. I really hope Darkforge Drain makes a reappearance in set 3 because this is the kind of creature that would love Darkforge
I'm
Drain.
I'm certain that it won't, but
I can hope, right? I can be excited and wish for it to
yeah,
happen.
this card seems pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not as good as Thundersoar,
No,
but it gives you like it works with different things than Thundersoar does,
right.
right? Like
Yeah.
if you have a bloodletting creature or
So does
uh
if a
corrupt
if
creature.
a Shambler does damage, is the creature dealing damage?
Oh wait, this is only an enemy creature. This isn't as cool as I thought it was.
No, no.
It's still good.
Yeah.
But
It's
yes, the I assume that um I don't know if Shambler deals damage or makes you lose health. I don't know if that's a difference, but uh
that's my question. If you're getting shambled or you're getting Darkheart Sorcerer,
let me
um,
I'm gonna read
Mike's adding he
Shambler.
believes this is right around the same power as Thundersoar. It's very possible. Yes, Nick confirming that it works with Shambler triggers and with the Darkheart Sorcerer also.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, the reason I think that this is not as good as Thundersoar is that it doesn't battle good itself
right.
because uh I guess Thundersword doesn't battle good on the first turn either.
No.
But like a lot of times you can like cheat your Thundersword kind of to like you put it in front of a small creature or you have a thing that deals damage to it.
Right.
You can't do that with this because it's when you have to be dealt damage by an enemy creature, so you have no control over this thing's power, its first attack.
Right.
Um,
Casey Kid's adding he likes it better than Thundersword. Oh.
well, I Casey Kid loves a Thunder Sword, so I don't.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy.
So I was thinking about this this card a little bit more in a vacuum, and obviously just on face value, I think it's at least on par with Thundersword, if not maybe a small margin better, because there are so many things that deal damage to the player. Like I
But
think that
it only takes into account damage from enemy creatures. It's not when you take any damage.
right. I understand, but there's still a lot of those sources like Sparking Omnis. I mean, that kind of thing. But um, uh, Mike is Mike's adding that with all the new stealth mechanics, this guy seems pretty cool. Core saying, I think this is a higher ceiling than Thundy. I mean, definitely the community is saying
Newt's in here throwing shade at Digitize.
more. Eli is saying
Um,
it doesn't need to sacrifice its health to gain attack. I mean, these are all valid arguments for sure.
so the Carl's point of all of this that I'm looking here, like getting if you're off Forge and you play it as your second card,
Mhm.
like you get to have kind of a giant guy if you use your life tool as a resource.
Mhm.
Um, I just I don't like that I have that I don't have control over the like in that case where you play as your second card off Forge, you have some control over it.
Right.
But the reason I think Thundersword is better is because of the synergies that you control. Like when you put your opponent in the driver's seat, they're just not going to throw burn spells at your face if you have a Thunderstorm play, right? So the only time you really have any control is fourth card of the turn. And so that's my inclination. I'm willing to be proven wrong, but uh,
See, I
I
think
still and don't get me wrong in that I think this card is bad because I think this card is very good. I
I
just
think
don't think it's
there's
as good as Thundersword because of
well, your baked
the
in
lack of
synergies are
control.
your baked in synergies are things like Blizzard Shamans, right? This sort of deal damage to all creatures or deal damage to your creature next to you. That stuff that kind of comes from Tempe's,
In, right,
right?
Tempe's as a color has us damage your own creature's sub theme,
Right,
right?
but I
There's
actually
like
think the number of just attack buffs that exist in the game outnumber those. So I think there's a larger pool of cards that this can synergize with than
well, but
Thundersword
that's
can.
not true because every pump spell is exactly the same on Thundersword as it is on this, right? Like they both gain like if you just have a plus
Sure,
three, both of these cards gain from that equally.
sure, that's true. That's true. That's
Um,
fair. That's fair. You're right. You're right.
so it's that's my thing. And like I said, I'm willing to be wrong about it. I think the card's very good. I just don't think it's as good as Thundersword. If somebody shows me otherwise, I will listen.
Yep.
But my initial take is just uh because you can't like bloodlet yourself and make it bigger, stuff like that.
Sure.
I that's my
I
stance.
think this is really a cool card. It's obviously
It is cool.
it's obviously right in line when you talk about um, like Utera Tempes, right? Like Tremosaur and Thundersor side by side are going to be very happy boys, right? So, I think Dinos getting some love is also probably exciting to the community because I
There
think it's
have been a few good dinos previewed now,
yeah.
right? And
I think Dinos are a subtype that potentially looks pretty good. Like this card's a really good dinosaur with no other dinosaur support, right? Like it only gets better with other dinosaur support. So, uh,
right. This is just a good card. It's a good card with a good creature type,
right,
right? Like it,
yep.
it's
So I think there's a lot of reason to be excited about this guy. But let's move on. Let's move on to the next card. So we're going to go to the Forgeborn Finishing School here. And I think this is from a couple of weeks ago, not today's. So just fair warning, everybody. But we have Ancestral Staff. And yeah, Ike adding that it can't be ignored as easily as a non-buff Thunder, for sure. we have Ancestral Staff. This is an Exalt spell. So this is a pure raw Exalt spell. It's activate, move this to an adjacent lane. So this allows you to move the Exalt. And then when you play a creature in this lane, give it +2 attack at level 1. At level 2, it's destroy your level 1 Ancestral Staff, deal 4 damage to an enemy creature that was in its lane. Then activate, move this to an adjacent lane. When you play a creature in this lane, give it +4 attack. And then the last version is a level 1 or level 2 and deal 6 damage to it. So it's level gated here, like we're seeing. And then activate, move this to an adjacent lane. When you play a creature in this lane, give it +6 attack. So this is kind of like a Spirit Golem Conclave in a lot of ways, but maybe in some
This
ways
card
better.
has a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah,
it's very cool.
It's cool. I definitely think it's cool. I don't know if it's...
It is a templating nightmare.
Yes.
Fletch, I'm sorry. I don't know what you did, but this is like... So, at level 1, the card is interesting, right? Like you said, it's a... like a Spirit Golem Conclave, kind of.
Right.
It's cool that it moves itself around, because obviously that lets you get multiple triggers out of it without having to replace the creature on it.
Right. Or move the creature out of its lane.
Right. And because Exalted is a mechanic in this set, it's even more important that you can move it around.
Mike adding that same comment right now.
That what?
That he likes that it can make your dudes exalted.
Oh yeah. So, even just the level 1 version of this that is missing kind of the removal half, I think is good and very cool and thematic to the set.
Mm-hmm.
And if Exalted cards are good, if cards that care about Exalts are good, then this card is going to be good. As you move down the line of the upgrades, it becomes kind of a removal spell. And it's cute that, like, when you play the second one, it throws the first one at the creature across from it.
Mm-hmm.
So you can obviously you can like move the level 1 into a lane with your opponent's guy, and then play the level 2 to 4 that guy.
Right.
So that's neat, right? Like that's some game actions you can take,
right?
To awkwardly deal 4 to something. So the part of it that I think is weird is that the way this looks to me, since it's templated, is that if this is in a lane and you don't activate it, you don't get +4 when you play the creature on it, because when you play a creature in this lane, give it +4 is part of the statement after the activate.
Yeah.
Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but that makes me believe that if this is in a lane and you want to play a creature in the lane with it, it'll never give it +4, because it says activate, move this to an adjacent lane. So it's not optional to not move it. And in order to gain the ability, you have to activate it.
That's interesting, but I would agree that that's the way I would interpret that ability as well.
Hopefully Fletch can just tell me if I'm right or wrong here. And I just think that's a weird thing.
Yeah, because it's not like it's a ongoing like modifier, right? Like an ongoing looking for trigger. Like
right. It is not templated like level 1.
Right.
That's where level 1, obviously, you could just leave it in one lane the whole game, and every time you play a creature in that lane, it's going to pump it.
Right. Yeah, no, that's a great point.
But again, the card is very cool. It's like tactically interesting because...
Ong says Nick confirmed it's a templating typo. More than most says you were supposed to get it. The template broke. Okay. So it's supposed to...
Is it going to be printed like this, or is it going to be fixed before it's printed?
Yeah.
That's...
Yep.
Because I assume it's supposed to have just static. When you play a creature in this lane, give it +4 attack. And then activate.
Nick's saying it was something to do with how the card got generated for printing. So I would say it's not going to get fixed for print. This is how it's going to read for print. And will require a clarification.
So, right. Will there be a fact stating that it works how it's not worded, or will it just work how I just like kind of badly explained it?
I mean, I would assume it would, right? We've seen that on other cards on the Solforge. Yeah, Nick's saying it will be a misprint. Eli confirming it won't be fixed, I believe. So, yeah, I mean, outside of that, like, I think this card is very cool.
It is cool. I mean, the removal part of it is like a little below curve for what level it's at, because your like level 2 spell is dealing 4 damage.
Right.
But it's dealing 4 damage, and then you get like a reasonable effect
left
over. And again, if assuming that the exalted parts of the set are like things that care about exalts or things that care about spells are good in your deck, then it's obviously very good.
Yeah,
I think this card's pretty good.
yeah, I agree. I'm with you. Okay, let's move on to the fifth cycle spoiler here. This is an Utera card called Shepherding Willow. This is playing off of that spirit theme we've been seeing kind of emerge from the set. So you've got cycle 1 is a 3/6, cycle 2 is a 5/9, and cycle 3 is a 7/11. This is a plant spirit itself, so it feeds into its own ability. But deploy, if you have a spirit in your banish pile, you gain 3. Then if you have 2 or more spirits in your banish pile, you gain 5. And if you have 3 or more spirits in your banish pile, you gain +5. Now this one I have a templating question on. Because the +5 is templated different than the level 2 and level 1 version.
I believe that, again, it might be a typo, and that's because it says you gain.
Yeah.
Because it otherwise it would say like,
yeah, I believe it's a typo as well,
creature.
but I would love to have that clarified for sure. We got Nick in chat, so maybe he can chime in here. But on the base level here, there are lots of plant synergies and lots of spirit synergies with inside of Utera in general, and this is just another one of these that plays into this multiple spirits in your banish pile thing that we've seen coming out.
Right. This covers several synergy bases, right?
Right.
The card itself is a little underwhelming.
I think it's reasonably statted.
No, it's not. It's very small and bad. Like,
is it?
It has 3 power at level 1 and 5 power at level 2. Like,
I don't know if that part matters so much. Like, it's still 9 stats out of the proverbial 12, and you get the 3 life if you trigger its ability. So it's literally on curve at that point. But you're at 14. I mean, 19 at cycle 2 is. I mean, that's about right? I mean, if I'm thinking through this right, because isn't 17?
You're counting your 5, like you gaining 5 life as stats on this creature?
No, I'm saying, but that's how they're statting the cost of the ability. So that's why they're removing 5 stat points off of the Shepherding Willow, is for the 5.
Right, but that ability isn't worth 5 stat points. Like, just gain 3, like it again. This card covers a lot of synergy bases, right? So if your deck is good and wants life gain synergy or spirit synergy or plant synergy, this is probably a fine card to have in your list. But I find this card to be very unexciting in general.
Well, I think it's
like
pretty
a
vanilla.
Small dude.
Yeah, I think it's. I don't know. I mean, obviously, seven health is a better number, right? Like, we know that. Like, there's a pretty big gap between 6 health and 7 health at cycle 1.
Yeah. Newt says this is good because you as a person get 5 health and therefore can't be taken out by a mindless zombie now.
That's true. That's true.
+5.
But yeah, I mean, okay. I mean, it is a little underwhelming at cycle 3 that it didn't either scale up more or.
Well, it became an activate instead of a deploy. Sure. So they're saying like it could gain you 10 maybe, but it just, I don't know. We know that like life gain was too good in the first couple of sets and they were trying to tone it down. And This kind of feels like a casualty of that to me.
Well, I'm sure it is, for sure, without a doubt, right? Like, I mean, and obviously there's not an easy way to solve that short term, right? Because cycle 1's still tournament legal, so these life gain decks from cycle 1 are going to probably outstrip cycle 3 life gain decks. I mean, that's as a whole, that's probably going to be true. But I mean, there's still potential reasons to consider this spirit banish pile synergy and whether or not that's enough of a
right. Again, like your deck, this could be good in your deck if the rest of your deck is good and wants the spirits. I think spirits specifically, because the cards we've seen that care about spirits in banish pile are very powerful. But also like plants and life gain already had a big overlap in the design space.
Yep.
So potentially you could have a very good deck with this, I assume.
Yep.
But this card itself is like not a card that is very good. It's just like if your deck wants spirits, if your deck wants plants or whatever, like you're happy to have this. If not, you're just kind of like, yeah.
Yeah, Mike adding obviously that there's tons of upgrade to Nutero in this set, right? We've seen that for sure. And then he goes, hopefully you only ever play the level 3 and ready it a few times. Sure. I mean, I think those are all possibilities of play lines for this card. But I don't know. I mean, Shepherding Willow it potentially won't be your first target for upgrade creature. It might be your only target in some situations, but I think as a whole, you're going to probably have more impactful cards to upgrade in general. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. I mean, it's I do think the stats. I think the stats are not as underwhelming as some people are talking about, but it is certainly not a top tier creature stat either. All right. So next one up was from Ankh.
And he gets all the Stitchers.
Yeah, he does. Seriously, this card is broken, by the way.
I don't know about broken, but it's pretty damn good.
It's really good. Really good. So Dark Pines.
Because it's level gated, it's like a small amount awkward. But it is very good.
It's not any more level gated than Stitcher is.
Yes, it is. Because this requires you to have a level 1 creature in play. I guess to get the stealth. So some of the time you'll be able to sneak one through and it doesn't care about the level of the creature.
Yep.
But it's less likely. The card's very good.
Yes.
Right.
So give one of your creatures +3 attack. If it's a level 1, it gets stealth this turn. So you still can do the +3 even if you can't give the stealth. So you're not level gated there. The Stitcher ability is literally Stitcher, right? Like, I mean, it's kind of. Next time it deals damage to an enemy player this turn, you may reanimate a 1 creature.
It has to get through. That's the thing.
Correct.
Right. So
Correct.
There will be times when you're able to play it and not care about the level gating on the stealth and still get the ability.
Right.
But if you're off Forge, that means you have to have a creature in the front row that's unblocked and played as your last card.
Right.
Or you just have to be far enough ahead that like you're gonna get a guy through for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise it is level gated and requires you have a creature on curve to get the stealth, in which case you're like guaranteed to get it through, barring a removal spell or whatever, and then you get the reanimate ability. The card seems very
Eli
good.
says this is broken because of Mantis. Mike is adding it's arguably better than the Stitcher because no minion needed. So let me back that up. If you deal damage in combat and you get to reanimate a 1 creature, you don't have a window there to use the activate of your Mantis though, right?
Yeah, I don't know that I understand the Mantis thing. Like that it's any better or worse than anything else with Mantis.
Right. That's what I'm getting at. I mean, I get Mike's argument about not needing a minion.
As far as this versus Stitcher, Stitcher is way more busted. Because Stitcher is on a creature, you can't loop this ever, right? You can loop Stitcher. That's why Stitcher's busted. This card is very good. This card is designed correctly, like many of the other Ankh promos that we have shown off in the last few weeks that also have Stitcher type ability. They're worded in a way that you can't loop them.
Sure.
Which is good. Like as we saw 2 weeks ago when Eli showed me how Stitcher works. But yeah, I mean this card is really, really good, right? Like
Yep.
It's vulnerable to removal, but every pump spell is vulnerable to removal.
Nathis is adding in some cards that don't require combat to trigger it, which are Fire Fist, Dark Heart, and any other card that can deal direct damage. So, like, you compare Dark Pines with like a Omni, for example. Some of those things would have some value in that.
Right. If you just play this on a Dark Heart, it immediately triggers, right?
Yes, it does. Yep.
So, yeah, I mean,
is Dark Heart Sorcerer in this set, Nick?
I assume it's not. I don't like.
Maybe
feels like that's not a card they would print again, but
they printed it twice already. I mean, maybe they keep it. I don't know. If Dark Heart's in this set,
it's also worded as the next time this deals damage, so it still doesn't go infinite even if you
no
do some wacky stuff.
But I mean, I'd be curious because how many Betrayer Dark Hearts do you think are running around?
A lot.
Maybe. Maybe.
I mean, I've seen a couple. I've seen like a red one and a blue one, but
He's not confirming. He's
also
just
like
smiling at us. That's not nice, Nick. What
it's
are you good for?
printed.
If you're not in this chat to give us insider secrets, then what are you here for? No, I'm
It
kidding.
was printed in set 1 and set 2, and it's not a forge creature. So I'm sure that there are many, many, many that exist of
Maybe. Yeah.
Betrayer Dark Hearts.
Nathis says I've
But
got 2.
yeah,
Nathis only has 2 Betrayer Dark Hearts. That's pretty rare, dude.
I do like the idea of using Sam's collection as like
the litmus,
the sample size.
the litmus.
Yeah,
That's why I did
it. But yeah, I don't even know if there's a lot to say about this card. It's just very good.
This card seems really,
it's going to
really
let
good.
you play multiple cards in a turn a lot of times, right? I mean, pseudo multiple cards because this is a card you had to play, so it's just a pump spell.
Right. But it's letting you go up. It's letting you go equal card, right? Because you can go up a creature, so you're basically
right. So if you play in a fair situation, like obviously there's probably some dumb stuff you can do with this, but like just in a generic game where you're playing fair, if you play like say you play a creature for your first card, you play this on the creature for the second card, and it gets through, and you get a creature back. That just means your turn was play creature, and you got a +3 attack for free.
Right.
Right. What being able to do that all in one turn is good. Being able to choose from your banish pile is good, and like the ceiling just goes way up.
Right. Depending on what you get to pull out, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know. All the cards that say reanimate on them are always going to be very good. So
I agree. Yep. It's such a powerful ability.
I think this is a good one.
All right, let's move on to the next card. This is Justice Blinded's card. Eric getting a spoiler. Aloyan Patroller. This is a warrior creature. Cycle 1, it's a 6/2. Cycle 2, it's an 8/4. And cycle 3, it's a 10/6. Has stealth. And exalted. When an opposing creature comes into play, it gets defender this turn. I mean, we've seen that be very powerful. Right? We've seen defender have big impact on the game.
Well, this is kind of different than like Batterhide.
Nick says there's 32 Dark Heart Sorcerer Betrayers registered.
Yeah, that sounds about like the correct number.
That's not very many, dude. Like,
it's a lot compared to a lot of the Betrayers we ask about.
Oh, sure.
Like we're usually talking about like 2 somewhere, right? Like
yeah, that's true.
32 is plenty.
That's true. Yeah, you got you.
And the 32 probably like a majority of them belong to the community that is in the Discord or watches us or whatever.
Most likely, yeah.
Or the ones that play in the tournament. So
let's get back on Patroller here, but I wanted to add that in.
So I think this card's very cool. I think the art is very awkward.
Yeah, what's he doing?
Like, I don't know. It's like
he's like
somebody
his
tried
best,
to draw
David
Tron
Hasselhoff
guy with
pose, right?
Somebody just tried to draw the kid from Tron with an eye patch.
I'm
no depth perception.
I'm Baywatch.
But I think the card's cool. Like I like cards that are front loaded because they always trade.
Right.
But this card also like always gets through when you want it to. Again, we're assuming that Exalted is easy to achieve.
What is up, George? How's it going, brother?
But
welcome. He's rollerblading. I love it. I love it. That's perfect. That's awesome.
But if he's Exalted, then they can never play a creature to block him, right? Like they have to play a creature, it gets pushed to the back, they take 6 or 8 or 10 or whatever, and then the next turn he gets to fight the Patroller.
Well, the thing is like, okay, so think of it, since he doesn't have aggressive, right? Patroller doesn't have aggressive. So the only time he gets to do his thing is when you put him in the front row on Forge. Your opponent's already in trouble, but it makes him so he's not blockable by another aggressive creature. That's really all it's doing on the Exalted.
So if you're on Forge, you play this card, and he's Exalted, right? He has to have the Exalted text. But like, if I'm on Forge and I play a stealth creature, you can't block it. We pass the turn. You're on Forge. You still can't block it.
Why?
because you'll put a creature in its lane, it'll immediately move to the back when it gets defender, and then it's a defender sitting in
Sure,
front of a stealth guy.
but wouldn't you rather? Okay, so let's talk play pattern for just a second here, because if you know you're going to take the patroller damage anyways, you can safely put a creature in the defender position when patrollers on Forge. You can put a creature safely in the defender position that you want to survive an extra round. This guy doesn't have huge life, right? So when you go to the new round, you're not going to play a creature in the lane. You're going to bring that creature that's already defender up in front of him, and he's going to get
Right.
blocked. George is adding that we haven't written the lore about how popular rollerblading is amongst Aloyan, but it's all the rage, and it's now
Okay.
canon. So
Okay.
according to Ankh, so it's Nathis is adding it's civilized rollerblading. Or do we have a roller derby situation going on? I definitely believe we need to have a Aloyan roller derby. You got to make that happen at PAX. I'll come to PAX if you can make an Aloyan roller derby happen. That's how you get me there.
Yeah, I mean, you're 100% right. Like, it mostly operates as a regular stealth creature,
Right.
except that it's just a little better than that because there are going to be times in the game where you have your opponent under pressure and they want to try to block this and they can't.
Well, the other time is when you're off Forge as your second card, right? Going back into that. If you're off Forge as your second card, you can put it somewhere where obviously it's not going to do anything that turn, but the next turn it's going to come up front and potentially you can exalt it as your first play, right? And then nobody can block it for that round. And so now it gets 2 rounds of damage in that way, right? Because if they put well, it wouldn't get 2 rounds because it's just going to push the creature back to the defender for 1 round. So just one. But I mean, there is some off Forge second card play here with this as well.
Yeah, the card's cool. I
Yeah.
I don't think it's like spectacular or anything. I think it's fine.
Yep.
It's like not one you're unhappy with. It's not one you're excited to build around.
It's also a
Um,
little soft to a lot of the damage removal in the game.
yes, that is one downside of the small but guys like died all the burn spells.
Yeah, I mean, epidemics and take your pick here of things, firestorms, even. You know, I mean, it's susceptible even to those. Like
I mean,
it
there's just like
dies
a
to
million sources of 2 damage.
well, yeah, but level 2 dies to a level 1 firestorm. So like it's not even big enough to survive something like a non-leveled up version, you know, if your opponent were to play that in cycle 2. And that's pretty rough to lose a level 2 creature to a cycle 1 spell. But yeah, I mean, it's a cool design. I love the design. I'm
Yeah.
really excited about the Exalted. I can't wait to see if it actually plays out the way I hope it does, because I think it can do some
And
really cool stuff.
knowing that this isn't the set, do you try to play guys into the exalted lanes?
Man, that's an interesting question.
You probably don't, because the other exalted guys that we've seen punish you for doing that,
Right.
but this one does not. I suppose you get to look at their deck list, so like you just see if they have a patroller and then play accordingly.
Newt says Aloyan Roller Derby has had a few Yeti incidents. I'm actually going to say that's how Undeady came to be. Is from an Aloyan rollerblading fiasco. Yeah, you're welcome. All right, Overgrown. This is a regular spell. Cycle 1, it says enemy player may play up to 2 level 1 creatures and or exalts for free. Then you may play up to 2 level 1 creatures and or exalts for free, and you gain 3 life. Level 2 does the same thing for level 1 and level 2, but you gain 3 life. And then level 3 is you may play up to 2 creatures and or exalts for free. So this is like a Talisan.
Yeah, it's like the Reveler Talisan design.
Yeah.
I didn't actually read any of these cards when I was making the graphics. I
Okay.
just like copied them in there. So I'm like first looking at all these as we do them.
Sure.
This card is like the most fun, I think. Like
That's
this
cool.
card's really sweet.
It will create fun games of Solforge, no doubt.
I mean, Talisan and Reveler are both very playable because even though they're quote unquote symmetrical abilities, because you have control over the timing, it's broken a little bit in your favor.
Right.
I think that's probably true of this. Though this one is
the critical mass of 2 is interesting, right? Because it's potentially possible your opponent doesn't have 2 to play.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the same thinking as whenever you play Revel or activate Tile Sand, right? Is like you try to do it at a time when you think your opponent doesn't have it or what they have is weak compared to what you have. Um, I mean, the level 3 of this card is just something else, right? Uh it's just straight up play three cards in a turn. Because your one phase becomes 2 cards and you have a second phase. Um, and this is good design as well because Eteria has so many upgrade cards now, but they only upgrade creatures, so you can't like cheat the overgrown upgrade,
Right.
at least in color.
Right.
But this card is very cool and very fun, and I assume extremely powerful. Like
It certainly could be, right? I mean,
it, the rest of the deck has to be good, but if the rest of the deck is good, this card's extremely good.
right. Yep. I agree. And Stoneblade revealed this one just for everybody's information. You see that on screen there, but let's move on to Cardboard Newt, the man that's not named Sam, but is actually named Sam.
Yeah, Ryan makes the point that this card feels worse than Revel or Tileland because you're playing 3 cards in a turn, your opponent playing 4 because they're getting 2 for free and you're getting 1 for free, kind of.
Right.
But the level 3 path is so huge. And a lot of times it's going to be like awkward where one of you isn't going to hit the double.
Right.
And if you're not going to hit the double, I assume you don't play it ever.
Yeah.
But I don't know. This card's wacky.
Yep. It's very interesting. All right. Cardboard Newt coming in with the Ardent Mastodon, new plant dinosaur.
Definitely dinosaurs from Newt is
a thing, right?
Yeah.
1/3 at cycle 1, 5/10 at cycle 2, 7/13 at cycle 3 has deploy. If you have another creature with increased attack, give this +3/+3. The level 2 one is an activate for +3/+3, and the level 3 is activate and give it +3/+3 for each creature you have with increased attack in play. So level 3 can go pretty hard here. New dinosaur. What can we say about this? Art looks cool.
Right. The art is absolutely gorgeous.
Yep.
Just the color palette, and it's very cool looking. I don't know. I assume that this card is fine.
I mean,
the level 1 is kind of underwhelming. If you hit with it, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like you get 4/6.
Yeah. I mean, a 4/6 is okay stats. I mean, it's reasonably good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the thing has the potential to get real big. This is in a deck that cares about dinosaurs. You like to have dinosaurs of whatever type.
Yep.
It's very likely that your level 2 and level 3 ones will chain off themselves.
Yep.
Some amount of the time, as well as many of the dinosaur synergies obviously like make the dinosaurs bigger somehow, so they're usually trigger.
Yep. I mean, this obviously is right alongside a Thundersaur, right? Like, it's really good.
The level, yeah. I mean, that's a fine example, yeah, like of all the dinosaurs that just get bigger. The level 1 one is a little underwhelming. The level 2 one, if you ever activate it twice, I assume is crazy.
Yep.
And same with level 3.
Obviously, no sources of breakthrough, so obviously gaining access to breakthrough in some way probably has some value here. But it's still a great creature and statted really well.
It's just a large man, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's statted big, and we know that can be very impactful in Solforge games.
It's statted big if you jump through a hoop, but the hoop doesn't seem like it's a very big hoop.
No, it seems pretty much in line with what you want to be doing in Utera in general. So,
right, and specifically what the dinosaurs want to be doing as well. Yeah,
exactly. All right, let's move on to the next one because we've got so many to do. I don't know where this one came from. This is Grave something.
This was from Stoneblade's article.
Graveborn Caller. Okay, so we got a spirit creature. It's a 2/5 at level 1, 4/7 at level 2, 5/10 at level 3, has stealth. When this deals damage to an enemy player, you may play a mindless zombie minion. And this is mindless zombie at level 2, zombie brute at level 3. Man, this seems pretty good.
It's really good if you're on Forge.
Yeah.
Like it's not like crazy or anything, but it's definitely like a good card to play on Forge. It's not very good off Forge, I don't think, because it's like small, but
I mean, the net return out of it is you get a mindless zombie minion at level 1, and so your net stats are 13, which is above curve.
that's assuming that it hits them.
I agree. Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with
Right.
that. I'm just
So
saying, but
like
but
when
if
you're on Forge, it's an easy play.
right,
Like you're gonna get value out of it because making a 2/5 in one lane and a 3/3 in another lane most of the time, especially when one of them has to crack, like is better than having, one larger creature. But
it's a good card off Forge as your second card too. I
right, it's
mean,
just that your second, like obviously we've said that about like 4 cards now or
yeah,
whatever. That card, your last off Forge card, is a very high value card slot.
right,
And so this is competing when you're talking about it in that sense with cards that are much better than an average card.
sure.
Um, so yeah, I mean this is fine to play as your last card, and it's fine to play on Forge. And it is a good card. This is one that again I think fits into that category of like you're happy to have it in your deck. It's
Right.
never going to be a blank. It's always going to be pretty good.
This
The
is
ceiling
that
is a little low, but like
this is
it's
that card that fills that fifth, sixth slot
just
comfortably, right?
right. It's just fine.
Yeah, yeah. I think you
And
got to have
it's
those
a
cards.
spirit. Like
Mhm.
obviously everything that's a spirit we seem to care about now. Um, so yeah, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just not that exciting to me because it just kind of does what it does and it's never gonna go big crazy nutso.
Right.
Uh, and it's never like but the floor is high.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's it's a well statted like we said, well statted what I would call a staple creature, like a creature that
And I guess one thing I would add is this is not a card I would ever want to draw if I'm behind
why?
because it doesn't block very good. And if I'm behind, I don't know that like playing a stealth creature into an empty lane to make a 3/3 at level 2 is like good enough to bring me out of that. Like it's still okay. It's just it doesn't feel like very much of a catch-up card because it's small and doesn't trade with anything good. And
Yeah, it kind of depends, I guess. I mean a 4/7 obviously is not going to trade really well with a lot of other cycle 2 creatures, but it's not super small either in comparison to a lot of cycle 2 creatures, really. I mean, it's
right, I just like when you're behind, like when you're applying pressure, this card's very good, I think.
sure.
Like if you're on Forge, like that's kind of where it shines. If you're behind, you can play it into an empty lane and still do the thing it does, but you're less excited about it. Because making a 3/3 at level 2 is like, not just not that good.
Right.
Uh, and this is just not the kind of card that you want to block with even, right? Like
Yeah. No, I
I'm sure
agree.
you could finagle some trades with it if you had to, but then
Yeah.
it's essentially just a 4/7. If you're using it to trade, like you just ignore stealth and the ability, right? It's just a 4/7.
Well, it depends. Like you can put it in front of like an enemy zombie, you know, and catch the zombie and then get the second ability to trigger, and then you're getting
Right. But
some card advantage
in
out of
that
it.
case, next turn, then its text turns back on. But for the turn that you're
Sure.
blocking, it's just a 4/7,
Right,
right?
right.
That's what I'm saying is like when you're not using it as it's intended to be used, it's just a small creature.
Right. Yep. I agree. I agree. All right. Let's move on to Nathis's. Nathis had the Echoing Gale Carrier, which is a Tempe's card. I think this is only the second Tempe's card we've seen tonight, right?
Tonight, I probably,
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's the only second Tempe's card. So this is a 4/4 at cycle 1. It's an elemental. We love elementals in the sets. 7/9 and then a 9/11 at cycle 3. Has the
This card's super sweet.
Yeah, deployability is you may move one of your exalts. It does the same thing at cycle 2, and then at cycle 3, it has activate, move one of your exalts. And then it has, since this is a forged modified creature, its deploy is if this replaces a creature, you may play a 1 exalt for free. Um,
Right.
deploy,
So
you may play a
I,
1 or 2
I
exalt for free on cycle 2 and activate play an exalt for free on cycle 3.
I always get it mixed up. I don't know which is supposed to be
I
which.
don't either.
Uh,
I don't know if they follow a
but this
standard
is
template or
this is
not.
a this is a common forge word and a rare creature.
Right.
Um, and both halves of it are sweet.
Yep.
Like I think it's very cool to move your exalts. Like uh, obviously again caring about um the exalted mechanic, and then just the second half of it is like this is like slightly worse Yeti.
Yeah.
Because it has the same like progression as Yeti did, where
Hmm.
it was deploy if it replace play a spell, deploy play a spell, activate play a spell. So this is more narrow than that because it has to be an exalt, but uh,
It looks like it might be pretty good with the slinging axe one that Forgeborn Finishing we spoiled earlier, talked about earlier. Like that card's
yeah, it's
already got
fine
some
there.
movement in it, but it's got reasons to be moved around as much as possible as a threat, and you know you can play
It's
it for free off of this creature, which is really good.
yeah, I mean, there's obviously going to be some like better forges than this,
Mm-hmm.
like using one or the noun or the adjective here on another body. Um, but we haven't seen them all yet, so we don't know like what the craziest thing you can do is.
Right.
But both halves of this seem really good.
Yep. I agree, and I'm a big fan of this card.
I hope that there's a lot of import put on the like location of your exalts.
Yeah.
Like, and I hope that there's not a lot of effects like this where like I want the gameplay to reward you for playing your exalts and creatures in the correct lane without having the like catch all of just move them wherever.
Right.
But having this exist obviously creates some tactical decisions during gameplay as well.
Yeah. I and
And free cards are
the
good.
body on the creature is pretty good, just in general, right? Like a 7/9 is pretty good, and a 9/11 is pretty good at cycle 3 for what you get here.
Okay.
So
So
yeah,
Natsa says echoing adjective is the play at exalt for free. And the Gale Carrier is the move one of your exalts, which makes sense, like from a thematic point of view, I suppose.
right. All right, let's move on. We got Eli's more than most. He got Chain Lightning, which is play a Spell Sprite minion, or level 2 is play a Spell Swarm minion, or level 3 is play 2 Spell Swarm minions. And then when you give a creature plus attack this turn, deal 2 damage to an enemy player. Level 2 does the same thing. Level 3 does the same thing. I'm assuming that if multiple creatures get plus attack, that you would get multiple triggers of the 2 damage. So, like, if you had a spell swarm, like a spell sprite already in play, play Chain Lightning, make second spell sprite, both spell sprites get buffed from the spell, would trigger the last ability and go ahead and
Well,
deal 4 damage.
so the spell sprite that it makes, I don't think will ever trigger it
Why?
because you have to fully resolve this thing like in a batch.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yep. I agree. I agree
I
with that.
think so, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you just do it like down the card, and it just comes into play during resolution of the thing. I'm not sure.
No, because I think doesn't burnout work that way? Burnout doesn't buff the creature the spell sprite that comes in.
I
Like
don't know
I'm
that, but
I'm
that is the same templating.
yeah, I'm
Like,
pretty sure that the spell play itself doesn't buff the minion created by burnout. Just the second text
right.
ability does.
The minion it plays definitely won't get buffed from the minion's ability off of Chain Lightning for sure.
Right.
But in any case, this is just like it's like Thunder Crash Field, but it's all packed into one turn.
Right.
So Thunder Crash Field obviously is less big than this because it only affects the creature that's in the lane with the Thunder Crash Field.
Right.
this affects all your creatures, but it stops after one turn, whereas the Thunder Crash field remains in play, obviously, and continues to go over the course of the game.
This
Is there some
I-
Eli's in chat still probably? Is there some way to go infinite with this? Like this seems like a card that would go infinite.
maybe I don't know. Natha
I'm not
says I can't wait to play this with a Thunder Crash field. So obviously like
right. Obviously, if this is good in your deck, so is Thunder Crash Field. Like
right.
they're essentially the same effect. Um, this just this just feels like a card that goes infinite. Like there has, or they can just never print a creature in the game that says like
When this comes into play, give it plus
when
X.
no when your opponent is dealt damage, it gets +1 attack.
Yeah.
Like that seems like a card that they could print, right? Like if this didn't exist, you could definitely see a card that's like a 1/5, and whenever your opponent takes non-combat damage, it gets +1 attack. Well, that card can't exist now because if you play this, it kills them.
Should the Reaper make this go infinite?
No, because that's isn't that when the creature?
I think the Reaper is only when the creature deals it, and I think Chain Lightning is dealing the 2 damage here.
Because the creature doesn't deal the damage from chain lightning. It has to be just like Reaper is close though.
I still want to know if you get multiple instances if you have multiple creatures that get buffed.
I assume you do.
I assume so too, but I mean it's
Because this is like this sets up, and I don't know what they call it in Solforge, right? I don't know if we have a word for it, but this kind of effect existed already because the Sunder Forgeborn ability that when you play a spell it does damage was like a turn-long state-based effect, and so is the Rosetta Forgeborn ability that when you replace a creature it shoots creatures. And essentially they just set up like a lasting effect on your turn.
Natha says he would assume you get an instance for each creature that gets buffed.
That is my feeling as well.
So like this card in front of a Ferocious Roar and a potentially full board could be pretty wild.
Well, you're definitely already winning that game because you're saying like you have 5 creatures in play, you untap, your opponent has done nothing to interact with you, and you play spell. The first spell is Overrun. So your guys are already ginormous. Or I guess your first spell is this.
Yep.
And then you Overrun it. Like you're so far ahead in that game. I don't think that matters. But
well, like, then we're playing Gathering Storm too in that scenario. Just an FYI.
That's not even the best thing you can. Like a more realistic thing that I think is very good is like you have a couple guys and you use one of the Forgeborn abilities that pump all your guys. Like you play Chain Lightning and like do the thing that off of Korok that gives your guys attack and moves them around or whatever.
Right.
Because then you don't have to worry about like second card or anything.
No, I agree.
And then I mean, that deals a lot of damage. But this card's interesting, and it's 100% it either goes infinite now or it's really going to stop them from using a design space for the rest of the game.
Yeah. We'll see. All right, so let's go Butcher. Let's go to the Butcher. Adrius the Butcher.
So this was from that same article with the purple guy.
Yep.
With stealth.
Yep. 3/6 at cycle 1, 5/8 at cycle 2, 7/12 at cycle 3. Activate. If this has increased attack, this battles the opposing creature. I mean, I love battling on a stick, man.
This card's neat.
Yeah.
It's like a worse red Utera Charger.
Right. Yep, that's where I was going with this. It's similar to Utera Charger, but not as good. Utera Charger's still better. But this is very good.
Oh yeah, Utera Charger is busted. Like we shouldn't compare cards to Utera Charger probably.
No.
But
this is a kind of card that creates some easy 2-for-1s in the game. Assuming that you have easy ways to buff right within your plan, so you're not giving up card advantage to buff it.
Right. So this is never actually a 2-for-1, right? Because it by itself can never battle.
Right.
So you have to spend a portion of another card to like pump its power and then it kills a guy.
Right.
Because it's statted in a way that it's statted not aggressively, but it's statted good for battling because it has the big butt.
Right.
So if we're assuming we have to pump its power anyway, it's at least a 4/6,
Right.
probably a 5/6 at level 1. I don't know if there's anything that gives +1 attack. It's mostly +2s.
Right.
And a 5/6 battles level 1 card is just fine and survives. So you'll end up with like an X1 having killed their guy, and then they can either put another guy in the same lane with it to block. Because remember, this only battles the guy across from it. You can't like
Right.
shoot guys on the other side of the lanes. But this really is like a fair Ruterra charger, which
Yeah.
I think is cool.
Yeah.
And the artwork is awesome.
Yeah, the art's like super dope. Like I love this artwork. So yeah, not much else to say about this guy. Obviously, the strike at cycle 3 is extremely strong. We know how good strike is.
Oh yeah.
As an ability.
Yeah, this card I assume is very good. Like it just has to be at the top end of the red fillers.
I agree. Yeah. I agree completely. All right. So let's move on to the next Ruterra card, which is Ruterra Forebear.
Yeah, this is from another one of the Stoneblade articles.
Another Spirit Warrior. Deploy, you may give another creature +2/+2. When this is destroyed, you may give a creature +2/+2. It's +3/+3 at cycle 2, +3/+3 at cycle 2, and then it's +5/+5 at cycle 3. Statted as a 1/1 at cycle 1, a 3/3 at cycle 2, and a 4/4 at cycle 3.
This card's neat.
I want to like this card for competitive, but I'm not sure it's competitive.
It has a lot to do with what the rest of your deck looks like.
Yeah.
Because if you get both halves of it, like you're doing fine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a spirit, so it obviously again that's a slight upgrade.
I mean, it's always going to be your second card, right? I mean, just
not
about.
Necessarily.
I mean, just about.
It won't be your first card of the game, but there's definitely turns where you untap with a guy in play. It's not first or second card, it's like, do you have another creature in play?
Right.
I think this card's above average.
The creature stats on it feel a little soft to me, but for what it's doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously designed in a way that like you play it, you get your little pump on deploy, and then you just hope you get to chump block something, or that you have something that you want to sack a guy to. Like if you have a Blight Witch or what's another good sack guy? I don't know, one of the Nyx Forgeborn abilities.
Right, like a Soul Rip or
like,
something. Yeah,
so if you have things that care about sacking a dude, this is like the ideal card for that.
Okay.
Because all of its power is on another creature, and it leaves behind a crapper.
Right.
So in a vacuum, if we're talking about sealed or just like fair games or whatever, what you're going to do most of the time is you have a guy in play a 1/1, make your other guy bigger so that it wins the fight, and then you you play your 1/1 in front of their large guy and just gain yourself 5 life or whatever by blocking, and hope that you have a guy left over to get the
Ike says it's a more consistent
additional stats out of. But as soon as you have ways to use the body, then all of a sudden it's a lot better.
I don't know. Is it a more consistent Fiend?
Fiend is the one, because Fiend has a forge on it, right? That's the it's like adjective Fiend.
Let me look.
And the Fiend half is when it dies, it gives +2/+2, +3/+3, +5/+5.
Yeah, it's got.
So I don't know if it's more consistent. It's just like the same on the.
So combat fiend is just when this is destroyed, give one of your creatures +2/+2. So it's definitely buffed up over the fiend in term, but the fiend itself is a better creature.
Fiend is right. Fiend is a much better card for 2 reasons. One, it's forged,
yeah,
so you can have some good adjectives, and also it's purple.
Right. Yeah, I would say
it's obviously if it's purple. Purple's the best color, but also purple is the color that has all the sack your guy effects.
I would say that Fiend is better than this card, but not by a large margin.
Well, Combat Fiend is worse than this card. Many of the Fiends are better than this card because they have better forges. But in general, I think this card's fine. Like it's a cool card, and it's at least like this is the kind of card that I like because you get to dirtle some more.
Hmm.
Like if you can find a way to use the 1/1 body, it's a ton of value. If you can't, then it's like probably not a very good card.
Right.
Um,
All right. So then we've got aerial assault.
yeah, and this was from that same article.
Right. So this is an Aloyan spell. It is give a creature mobility 1 this turn. This turn it gains when this moves into a lane with an opposing 1 creature. This destroys the opposing creature. And then it does it as a 1/2 with mobility 2 and then mobility 3, non-level gated at cycle 3. This is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
This is a remove. This is like a pretty much like blue Aloyan Dreadbolt.
Well, it's like a Dreadbolt that you have to jump through some hoops for.
Right. I mean, Dreadbolt's better, but it only kills have Dreadbolt.
It only kills it kills a creature under a couple stipulations. 1, you have a creature.
Yep.
2, there's no creature opposite the creature you want to kill.
It's true.
And also it's levigated. Additionally, though, like this can go a little nuttier if you have additional ways to move the creature.
Right.
So if you like play this on a creature, move it in front of something, kill it, and then like swap it with a hawk.
Yep.
It'll kill 2 creatures, which is kind of neat.
That's kind of neat. Wonder if Epoch Hawk exists
or if you have
in set 3.
Or if you have a what's that? Is it Caller? Is the red card that just move a creature? One of your creatures?
I thought Caller is
Like-
the one that deals damage or you get to play a spell for free.
I don't know. I'm bad with card names. I know them by picturing what they do. There's it's a red card as activate, move one of your creatures to another lane.
Okay. Is that
So obviously with effects like that,
it's got the little ninja, right? The ninja lady on it.
no, it's the picture is like an elemental guy with like a tornado legs.
Is it Windswept Elemental?
I just told you I don't know card names.
You're not helping me. Stormling?
I'm like pretty sure it's Caller.
Is it Stormling?
Yeah, it's Caller. Caller is the adjective. It's a forged creature and it has activate, move another one of your creatures to any lane. Combat Caller.
Why am I not thinking? Okay.
But yeah,
yeah.
This card is funny. I like obviously you can't mobility more than once unless you have a way to untap the thing.
Right.
Which once you start playing additional cards to do it, it becomes worse because you're not getting free cards out of it. You're just turning other cards into more aerial assaults, which is okay some of the time. But if you have an Ebon Hawk or you have a Caller or you have another effect like that, Hinder Mind or whatever, that you get double duty out of this, like it probably feels pretty good.
Right. I think
Obviously
I think this card's cool.
It's extremely cool. Well, the jury's out on how good it will be. Like it is reasonably close to Dreadbolt in a lot of cases. But if they know that you have this in your deck, like if you look at your opponent's list and you see Aerial Assault, you just play your guys in a way that they're either already across from something or in a lane that you can't get moved into.
Right.
Right. So it's easier to play around if you're paying attention.
What'd be interesting is like if you can somehow reduce your lane capacity with Aloyan and still win games, meaning
okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. If you play this on a Vid Icarus,
oh yeah,
it'll untap because the creature gains when this move to another thing destroys it, so it'll slay it.
Yep.
And then you can tap it to mobility again.
That's amazing.
You just like gun their team down.
All right.
That's kind of sweet.
That's pretty sweet. I hadn't thought about Vid. Old Vid. The Vid Icarus. All right. So let's move on to the next one here. This one was revealed yesterday, I think. Stoneblade. Maybe it's tonight.
What
It's
are we
tonight's
looking at?
espionage.
Oh, this was the one from tonight's
Yep.
stream.
So we got a level 1 spell that says play Cliff's Assassin. It also says give a 1 creature stealth this turn. You may give its opposing creature defender this turn. Very cool. That's cool ability. The Assassin's Cliff says when a creature in this lane deals combat damage to an enemy player, deal 4 damage to an enemy creature. That's sweet. The Espionage level 2 is give a 1 or 2 creature plus 3 attack. It gets stealth this turn. You may give an opposing creature defender this turn. And the level 3 version is transform Cliff's Assassin Cliff. Otherwise play Assassin's Mount. Give a creature plus 5 attack this turn. It gets stealth. You may give the opposing creature defender. Assassin's Mount says when your creature in this lane deals combat damage to an enemy player, deal 8 damage to an enemy creature. So this thing's going to go off, man. Like, it's going to go off, right? Like, you play Cliff's Assassin.
Yeah,
you play Espionage, you're going to get Assassin's Cliff. And
right.
then you're going to get the damage to trigger Assassin's Cliff for another 4 damage. So, like, this has a real upside when you're on Forge, for sure.
Yeah, this card's neat. Like, it's just like at level 1, it's probably like deal some damage to a player, deal 4. Level 2, it's like deal 7 or 8 damage to a player, deal 4, and at level 3, it's deal 10 or 12 damage to a player, deal 8 to a creature.
Yeah.
I mean, seems good.
I like this potential identity, like, emerging for Aloyan, the stealth being very difficult to interact with and sort of creating a burn on a creature, essentially. I think we're seeing a potential critical mass of that, where you might be able to just win matches with Aloyan by sort of being faster through the stealth components. And then, obviously, if you can buff those Aloyan creatures up that have stealth, like, you can accelerate that win condition. So I do wonder, like, if that's Aloyan's identity as a whole moving forward. You know, we sort of saw, like, set 1, set 2 was really Aloyan's identity was kind of around this, like, controlling matchup, like, blue magic style, like, but it doesn't necessarily come together extremely well. At least what we've seen in competitive play, it hasn't. And kind of leaves you wanting for more, like, because the other cards in the deck are pretty lackluster.
I think the themes of the color are just fine, and they were like okay, just at the power level of the cards in the team were low, right?
Sure.
Like this follow you. I mean, you can tell that this is like a Magic. This is a game designed by Magic designers, which I don't know if Fletch is a Magic player or whatever, but obviously like Gary and Justin Gary and Mark Rosewater are, and like I know Brian Kibler was on like the old Solforge digital team. But the blue cards or whatever, like they're like the control cards.
Mm-hmm.
And traditionally, like the way that blue has played aggro and Magic is through unblockable type creatures or like flying creatures, you know. So I think that the theme is still there, and it was there in set 1 and 2. It's just that the power level of the blue cards was a little low, so we didn't see it have much success.
Right.
One issue with this game versus Magic when it comes to like an unblockable creature type deal is that one, you can only have 5 creatures, and your stealth creatures are not actually unblockable. They're just unblockable one time.
Right.
So if they're small, which they have been traditionally, they don't fight good when they get to fight.
Mm-hmm.
And this card makes up for that in a little bit because you can like get a removal spell out of the stealth you're giving.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this card is really good because it leaves the Assassin's Cliff in play too, and then it puts your opponent in a situation where like that lane is very dangerous for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate that I think, and maybe I'm wrong. I don't know exactly how it works now that they changed the rule, but if you flip it over with level 3, does it have to stay in the lane that it's in, or do you actually like
Mm.
move it around? I
No,
don't,
I
because this was
assume.
this they just changed this rule, right? For
Yeah, that's a good question on
uh,
transforms change in rules. I would say it stays in the
I hope
lane,
it
right?
moves around, but if it's a lot worse if it doesn't move around. Maybe Eli or somebody can tell me, but like the level one you're always going to get because you can put the cliff wherever your stealth creature is. But if it doesn't move around, then the additional ones, like, you can still force it because it gives your guy stealth as long as you have a creature in the lane with it. You just don't get to
All
like
right.
pick.
So here's the full text for the transform update. When an effect instructs a player to transform a card, flip that card over to its other side without changing its lane or row unless specified to do so otherwise. This doesn't count as
Yeah.
replacing the other side of the card and does not ready that card.
So
Cards with
that
transform
answers
missile
it. So
trees.
it
Yeah,
doesn't move
it
around.
doesn't.
So that makes
Yeah, the
that
chat's
makes it
finally coming
harder
in here
to
too.
get the additional um ones to work as good as you want.
Right.
But this card's still powerful. It's still good.
Yeah.
Like this this card's good in a way that like a soulbind should be good,
Uh huh.
where you just know what you're gonna get out of it, and it's gonna be good. Like
Yeah.
you have
There's
is that good?
the floor and the ceiling on this card are very narrow, right? And
Yeah,
that creates
it's gonna be
consistency.
very unlikely that there's a game state where you playing this is bad.
Right. I was just gonna say
So
it creates
if that
consistency.
if that game state exists, you're either way ahead or you have no creatures in play and you're gonna lose.
Yeah.
So like in those game states, you don't want to draw it anyway.
Right.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
I think this card is good.
Yeah. I agree. I think it's pretty sweet. So, oh, that wraps up spoilers. The SBE guys did not decide to grace us with spoilers this week. Thanks, SBE. Appreciate you. We love you. I'm just kidding, but we do love you guys. But I don't care whether we get a spoiler or not. You guys decide how you want to release your spoilers.
We're just co-opting them from everybody else every week anyway.
Yeah. So, obviously we got 2 more rounds of Shufflebus League qualifier left for the fall, and it's been very interesting. Obviously, Eli is currently sitting undefeated with his infinite loop deck. The other sort of existing placings as they sit right now are Weekend in second, Puffin in third, and Carl here in chat in fourth. I think everybody that's on this list, yes, everybody except for Brandon, I think, and that's it, is not qualified or is qualified. So I don't think we're adding a bunch of players off of this. Puffin maybe isn't yet, so it'd be Puffin and Upside Down because everybody else on this list is already qualified. So it looks like we'll hand out 2 invites off of this one. But yeah, I mean, obviously, some of the match threes are already in. So Eli has won his 3rd round. Weekend has run his 3rd round, so they're on a collision course here for round 4. The 2 ones are Puffin, Gambit, Casey Kidd, and Nathis right now. And then the rest of us haven't played yet. So our Gorman, I guess, has played. He's a 1-2 right now. So so the rest of us haven't played yet. I started playing my game with Joel last night, Tater Tot Eat a Lot, and then we got a wicked storm that came through last night and knocked power out of his house while we were in the middle of the game. So he was the host.
Oh, no.
So we have no save game state. So I said, we'll just start it over. It just is what it is. If I lose, I'm gonna blame it on the storm.
I'm playing in the morning tomorrow.
Oh yeah,
I have my match scheduled with the Upside Down.
I mean, I want to thank everybody for being relatively on the spot on getting their games submitted. I mean, right now we're sitting on Wednesday night and there's only 3 games left. Joel and I won't get our game until Saturday. So, I mean, like, you guys are awesome. Like you guys have all gotten games done faster than I can move the rounds forward in many cases. So, congrats on that, and thank you for that. Obviously, we would love to wrap the tournament up sooner if we get it done. So, there is no top cut because of the player count on this tournament. So, after round 4, we're done, and it might be the shortest league we've ever done, which is kind of wild. I thought this was going to drag potentially right up to SBI, but it turns out not. So, you know, I mean, that's exciting in some ways because we can make room for other things to go on. Maybe I'll work with the 5th cycle guys and we can do one of their nights as a qualifier for maybe some of their audience that hasn't played in a Shufflebus yet. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I really have much else to cover tonight, Neil. I know we're a little bit early, but do you have anything else you want to go over?
I don't have anything. Just
Okay.
everybody make sure you get your round done before the weekend. And
chat, do you guys want us to cover anything? Anything you want us to look at that we maybe missed? Don't rickroll me. Don't send me links that rickroll me, okay? I will ban you. Fair warning.
yeah, just the most exciting thing is, of course, the sealed with set 3 decks this weekend. So if you want to play in that, get signed up. Because it's like 3 days from now or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I really want to play in that. I'm really hoping I can.
Yeah. I will either play or commentate. I'll ask Lucas what he wants to do.
That's up to you, buddy.
I just like doing the commentary. I just like that's just something I enjoy doing a lot. So
yeah, I'm excited to do commentary. I'm excited to have the 5th cycle tournament, running here where we'll cover it. At least on the competitive nights for
talk
sure.
About on.
I don't know if we'll cover the theme nights. I know they're doing like every other week, so maybe we'll just do every other week when they do their competitive events, and that way we kind of stay true to our brand. The theme nights are cool, but I mean the games will be wacky, and there's not much information to glean from them. When like tonight's event was, Forgeborns get 3 activations. You're going to activate your opponent's Forgeborn.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
If anytime you want to rickroll Jesse, please feel free to do so. I will give you his personal phone number.
No, do not do that. I don't need to be swatted or anything. Okay. Like I was watching a podcast and I don't remember who the lady was that was on there, but she's like clearly she's like in a streamer house, where a bunch of them are streaming, and they have been swatted 7 times.
Yeah. That's just what people do. They try to get people killed.
Yeah, it's absolutely like
it's extremely dangerous.
It's terrifying, man.
Yeah,
it's so terrifying, especially because I got young ones in the house, right? Like that scares me to death. Like,
right. I mean, I don't think anybody
know
anybody that's ever listened to us would do that. But you're right. Just in general, like if you get it big on YouTube or Twitch or whatever, like that is dangerous. Like a police officer just kick your door down and.
Well, they don't even do that. Like they like this lady was talking about, like they made him come out and there were like 50 officers with guns drawn on them, and like they don't come into the house because they don't know what they'd find in the house, so they try to make you come out. And they've been flashbanged in the middle of the night. Like, yeah. What in the world, man? Like,
there are a lot of just terrible human beings in the world.
Don't do this,
unfortunately,
yeah. Don't do
and
this.
Unfortunately, many of them watch Twitch all day.
Yep. So, yeah.
Don't be like that, chat. I know none of you are.
No. We're just gonna put that public service announcement out.
Yeah.
Because it terrifies me as a content creator on a platform where somebody could maybe figure that out.
So here's the real question: is does it terrify you more than your greed for fame? Because you have to hit a certain level of fame to be in that, like,
I'm not greedy for fame at all.
Target zone.
I could care less about being famous. Like, really don't care. So I don't do this to become famous. I don't do this to
Well,
become
that's clear
rich.
that we will never be famous or rich, but uh,
you know, I will figure out how to make my own money, but it won't be doing content. I can tell you
right.
that. But I love our our audience here, and I
Yeah.
like working with small communities like this. This is my favorite type of way to be part of a community, is to really plug in this way and just get to know everybody. So like obviously everybody is talking in chat here. I generally know their first name and have met them in person now, right? Like not everybody. I don't think I met Ike. Maybe I did. Ike, if I met you, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to like say that, but I don't think I have. And maybe not Carl Testa. Was Carl at Gen Con? I don't remember. I don't remember. So, Carl, if I met you in person at Gen Con, I also apologize. I'm sorry. I try to remember all this stuff, but Gen Con was a whirlwind, man.
Yeah.
But it was awesome. Okay, well, let's wrap up stream. We got mostly 2 hours in. Okay, I'm glad, Carl. I was like, man, maybe I.
Yeah, he's glad he's never met you, Carl. I would be happy to meet you, but Jesse's just mean-spirited like that.
Wow, I walked into that one, didn't I? Just walked right into it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's
yeah, we should quit. We've definitely hit the only nonsense part of the stream now.
That's for sure. Don't watch the last 10 minutes of this. You're on demand. You can go ahead and shut it off. But yeah, all right. We will be back next Wednesday. We will have one of the matches for fifth cycle next Wednesday. We'll have potentially more spoilers. Maybe a spoiler from us. Stoneblade. Hint, hint. Wink, wink. Nudge, nudge. And
well, there'll definitely be stuff to talk about because the Set 3 tournament will have happened.
I know. I can't wait to
unless Stoneblade is telling us not to do it, that we're going to talk about that.
I really hope that they don't embargo it, and I really hope that they force the deck list to get published so we can look at more cards, right? Because there'll be cards we haven't seen, for sure.
And there'll be one thing that we will glean from this that we haven't been able to glean from spoilers is what cards are reprinted,
right?
Because obviously they're not gonna give content creators or show off spoilers on their website or whatever of cards that already exist,
right? And we know that, like, what was it, like 40% of Set 2 was reprints.
Yeah, like half.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, I agree. I'd really like to know what cards are reprinted. We know Shardback. We know that for sure because Fletch let us know that Shardback was here, just not necessarily Furious.
Yeah, no Furious, but Shardback.
Yeah, and I think Shardback, no matter what his Forge modifier, is a pretty good card. So
yeah, it's fine.
All right. Well, we will see y'all next Wednesday. We'll have lots to unpack next Wednesday for sure, and we'll have lots of we'll have some games, which is awesome. So if you want to play your Shufflebus match on stream, let us know. We'd love to have you. I've got my games recorded from Shufflebus this season, and I'm gonna have Neil do voiceover commentary on them, and we'll post them directly to our YouTube channel. And Neil, if you've recorded yours, I'm happy to do the same for your games. So yeah, just let me know. But other than that, yeah, let's go play some Solforge this weekend. Let's play some Set 3 Solforge this weekend. And we will see you all next Wednesday to talk about it. Good night, everybody.